Peace reflections. You are over here with Tarithia. Is my let me make sure my mic and everything working. They said Tarithia bun to the side. Listen, reflection. I almost didn't make it. I was sleepy today. I was a little tired. But we are over here talking about the thousands that are going missing. And y'all make sure that y'all join me this week too for Naked News. We'll probably come through tonight or I'll come through tomorrow, probably like 11 to 12 o'clock. Little piece of 11 to 12 o'clock. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button if you haven't already, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about with our Naked News. Okay, now usually we've been talking about P Diddy, but I got some other stuff to talk about. We got to talk about that lady at the airport. We got to talk about that lady that was what is it? What hospital is that where they was trying to take her baby? We gotta talk about that too. Reflection. We got a couple stuff we gotta talk about. We gotta talk about them people that was trying to smother them pathogens over here. Did y'all hear about that? Baby, we got a lot we gotta talk about on Naked News. P Diddy gonna have to wait. Him and Cassie gonna have to wait. Okay. So with that being said, let's I'm not here. We're gonna be here a little minute, reflection. Okay, we're gonna be here a little piece of a minute. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as you come into the building, because you over here with Tarithia. Now, I don't know if y'all heard about these 411 missing people. Okay, there's this movie out. It's called The Hunted 411, I think. But anyways, this is basically what it's about. I don't know if y'all know about the ley lines or whatever. I may pull up a map of the ley lines that across the United States. Well, it's really across the world. Excuse me, across the world, but it's really across the United States, and a lot of people go missing, but it's like energetic portals. You get what I'm saying? So through these energetic portals, it has been alleged that they have underground, little piece of underground tunnels, little piece of underground bunkers up under there. And I'm not saying that's what's, that's contributing to these people going missing. But if you look at the top up here, this is where a lot of people have went missing. And if you look at the bottom, no, the bottom, this is where a lot of people had went missing. And it's a lot of caves and a lot of underground systems, allegedly, reflection. Okay. Now we are finna talk about that because a lot of people, and did you know that they don't even have a database for people that go missing at the national park, so it can't even be accounted for? You get what I'm saying? I think they said it would cost like 1.3, 1.4 million dollars like to create that database. And I'm like, shit, if y'all need to get y'all a spreadsheet and write it down and all y'all get connected, baby, I'm pretty sure y'all can do that for less than 1.4 million dollars. But government, or you get what I'm saying, certain agencies are saying that they don't have the funds to necessarily or that's not at the top of the priority list right now to create this database of all these people that are going missing. Reflection, what's going on at these national parks. Now I'm gonna tell y'all a story. I'm gonna tell y'all a piece of a story. For my birthday one year, I was going to the mountains, right? I said, I'm finna go to the mountains. I'm finna get me a little Airbnb and I'm finna go to the mountains. I'm finna go out in nature. You get what I'm saying? I already stay by nature, but I'm just saying I wanted to go to the mountains. And it's something about my mother. When I tell her certain shit, I believe she be putting her little energetic shit up in my plans reflection, because they don't never come out how I want them to come out. And I remember I was telling her about a week before. I was like, I'm finna. She was like, what you doing for your birthday? And I'm like, oh, I'm finna go to the mountains. Me and my friend, we gonna go to the mountains, baby. We finna go see nature. We finna go be in nature, baby. I'm finna go get in the hot tub, and we finna go look in nature. Okay, so she was like, you don't need to go to the mountains. And in my head, I'm like, excuse me, what you mean I don't need to go to the mountains? Baby, I'm finna go to the mountains, to the mountaintop. I don't know what you talking about. I'm finna get ready to go to the mountains. And this shit was strange reflection. That's why I'm gonna be telling her my plans and shit. That's why I'm gonna be telling her my plans. But I think she knew some shit that I didn't know. It was so strange because the person that I was going with, they were so hyped and they were so ready to go to the mountains with me. And all of a sudden, reflection, they didn't want to go no more. All of a sudden, they was like, let's do something else. So it was so strange how this person changed their mind because they were so hyped about going to the mountains with me. And I'm like, this shit is weird as hell. Like, as soon as I told you I was going to the mountains, and how you know that I shouldn't be in the mountains? How do you know that? How do you know that I'm one with nature? But I believe she knew some shit that I didn't know. I believe she be knowing a whole lot of shit I didn't know. Because when I was a little girl, they said we supposed to be talking about 411. I'm just trying to tell y'all, I think she be knowing some shit. When I was a little girl, reflection, I was outside playing and shit in the dirt. And I had this stick, but it was a big stick, reflection. I was always doing shit I wasn't supposed to be doing in nature. And the stick went so far down in the ground. I was like, I knew it was something under the reflection. You're not telling me it wasn't nothing up under them. So I had went and got my mom. I was like, Gemini, something is down here. Something is down here, mama. Some you need to check this shit out. And she had got one of them hoes, not the one that be on the corner. You know what I'm talking about, the garden tools. And the whole stick from the garden tool almost went down in the ground, reflection. The whole thing damn near went down in the ground. And she was like, no, it ain't nothing down there. You know, you just don't worry about it. Don't even be over here playing woo 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 woo. But in my spirit reflection, I felt like she knew it was something down there. In my spirit reflection, I felt like she be knowing shit, but she don't be telling me shit. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm curious. I'm always trying to figure out some shit. And I always was in nature and stuff. So I thought that was very strange. And as I got older and I started learning about these underground tunnels and these underground bunkers and just different things like that, I'd be like, you know more than what you be putting on. I think you know a little something. I think you do, Gemini. You be trying to play on my mind. Yes, you do. You knew something was down there. So anyway, as I was doing this research about these 411 missing children, not just missing children, missing people, period. And keep in mind, we don't know how many people be going missing because they don't have a database of it. And I thought that was strange. Why y'all don't have a database of the people that go missing in these national parks? And you get what I'm saying, reflection? I just thought that shit was kind of strange. Just a little piece. But anyways, and then they all on ley lines too. They all on ley lines. If you don't know what ley lines is, definitely go look it up. Go on Google, look it up, hit images, and you will see the whole map of the ley lines that are across the United States, okay, across the world, Creed. And a lot of strange things be going on these damn ley lines, okay? So with that being said, we finna keep it going. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as you coming into the fields, and everything over here is just for educational purposes only. We just trying to figure out what's going on. Because I'm gonna tell you how I got into this. I don't know if anybody in here from Kentucky, but a lot of people go fucking missing in Kentucky. I don't know what it is. It's like I even hear people like at my job, they be talking about they was like, yeah, we'll be like in Zoom meetings and conferences or whatever like that. And they was, and you know how you just be side chatting or whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, if you go to Kentucky, you might not come back and woo 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 woo. And I'm just on the sideline listening because you know I'm nosing. And I'm like, Kentucky. I was like, what's going on in Kentucky? And like, why people be going to Kentucky and they don't make it back? Like, what's up with Kentucky? So I started doing research. I'm like, okay. And I noticed a lot of people do go missing in Kentucky. Reflection. I would have never thought out of all the states, Kentucky is a place where a lot of people go missing. So I'm like, that's strange. So as I got to doing my research, that's how I got into all these people that are missing at these national parks and shit. Because I think, is it a national park in Kentucky or something? But anyway, we finna get into the video. I just thought that was strange. I thought that was a little bit strange. I don't know. Drop in the comments. Have y'all ever heard of that though? Like a lot of people in Kentucky go missing, or they be having a lot of strange cases in Kentucky. When I was doing research though, I think they said it was like 1,000 or probably more people missing a year in Kentucky. That's a lot for one state. That's a fucking lot, Reflection. But this ain't what this video is about. But you get what I'm saying? I might do a separate video about it, okay? We might do a separate video and see what's going on in Kentucky, because I did get a lot of good information. But we're going to be over here just a little piece. I ain't going to hold y'all too long, but we definitely got to talk about these 411 missing people, Reflection. We're going to stop. We're going to listen and see what's going on, because some of these stories sound a little strange. Now, everybody was like, this shit, all this can't be extraterrestrials, because a lot of people was like, you know, I don't know if you believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all that shit, Reflection, but they was like, maybe it's, you know, other beings that we don't know about in the woods and shit. In the woods and shit. Now I'm gonna tell you another story. When I was the little girl, they said to me, when I was a little girl, I used to see some shit, Reflection, because I was always outside. Let me tell you, it was this big ass lake by where I stayed at, right? So where the lake was, it was this tree that's in the lake. It's like a tree that come up in the lake, right? So with that being said, Reflection, it was one night. It was finna get dark a little bit. I know you like, Sweet, what the fuck you was even doing outside? Y'all know I'm from the South. So you get what I'm saying, listen. And where I stayed at, Reflection, it wasn't none but family. Oh, you get what I'm saying? From up the road to the you get what I'm saying, from the other side of the road. So you could be outside. So anyway, make a long story short, one night I'm walking past this pond, Reflection. And I am not lying to y'all. I seen a being. So it looked like shit. It wasn't a bear. It looked like it was hairy. But this is the crazy part. It was standing in the pond. It was standing where the pond be. Because at first I thought it was one of my cousins. I'm like, what the fuck they over there doing? It was tearing bark off the tree. That's what caught my attention when I was walking past it. It was a loud sound. And I looked over there to my right, and it was tearing the bark off the tree. And I was like, what the fuck my cousin over there? Because my cousin's bad to tell. I was like, why they over there tearing bark off the tree? But keep in mind, I had to think. I said, hold on. There's no way they could be tearing bark off this tree, because the tree is in the center of the fucking pond, Reflection. So there's no way that they ass is tearing bark off the tree. So I'm looking, this thing is kind of tall. It's kind of tall, Reflection. It's kind of tall. Now, you know how when you start, you're scared, but you can't run, because you don't know exactly what it is, Reflection. So I'm standing there. Wasn't nobody but little T. Now, I always been short, and I always been little, but I always been looking and curious into shit. So anyway, make a long story short, I looked over there to the right, Reflection. I see it's this something. I don't know what it is. I know it's tall and it's hairy, but it's on two legs. Just how I'm on two legs, it's on two legs, Reflection. And I see it tearing the bark off the damn tree, but it's standing in the middle of the fucking lake. And this lake is so fucking deep. That's how I knew it was tall. Because keep in mind, I used to be over there by the lake all the time. So I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? And why is it tearing bark off the tree? And how the fuck is you in the middle of the damn lake? Reflection, when I tell you, it was like within seconds, it just disappeared. It just went off into the woods and it just fucking disappeared. And I said, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I didn't even tell nobody because one, my mama had told me to keep my ass from over there by that damn lake. And two, she told me to keep my ass from over there by that pond. It was a lake pond, some type of shit reflection, but I know it was deep because they tried to fill it up one time, but you can't fill this pond up. It's so fucking deep. It's been there for like years and years and years, even when the natives were here, even though we technically are the Native Americans. We're not going to go down that route though, because my mama used to tell me, like, when she was little, she would actually go there and like get water and all type of shit. It used to be way bigger than what it is, and they tried to fill it up, but they can't fill it up. It just won't fill up type shit reflection. Oh my goodness. And it's this big ass ditch by the lake. They said, Teresa, I used to run through the woods when I was younger. I used to be into some shit. I used to strike out running reflection through the damn woods from the top all the way to the bottom. I had got so good, you know, where the branches and shit be. I'd be ducking and shit, reflection, ducking and shit. So you get what I'm saying? The branches wouldn't hit me in my forehead because I already knew what they was. Because I was short and I was little and I used to be scared sometimes, but I had to get to the house, and that was the shortest route to the house. So I cut through the woods. I couldn't walk on the road because I didn't want nobody to see me. Everybody on the road came to me. They were going to tell my mama I wasn't even supposed to be over there reflection. So I ran through the woods. I had found the trail through the woods. But anyway, that's how I know it was no way a human could have been in that lake. And it was so tall. It's no way. I don't know what the fuck that was. My mama them used to always tell me some shit in the woods, but I'm thinking she's talking about a coyote, a little panther or something like that. Reflection, a little panther or something. I ain't know she was talking about some shit like that. So I ain't gonna lie, so I stopped going over there by that damn lake. I stopped going over there by that lake reflection. And when I think about it, I used to be over there by the lake with headphones and shit like that on. Just so I'm gonna snatch my little thin ass up. But anyway, make a long story short, it's this never ending ditch over here too. It was a never ending ditch over the reflection. So where this never ending ditch at, I was like, do you think that maybe that's where that being used to stay at, or the being used to live, or some shit like that? Because it had to stay out of hiding for so many years. Reflection, it was big and it was hairy and it was tall and it could stand in the middle of a motherfucking lake and it was tearing bark off the tree. I seen through with my own eyes, reflection. I seen through with my own eyes, reflection. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, but anyway, I just had to tell you that because I'm not a person. I wouldn't believe in no Sasquatch. I ain't saying I believe in Bigfoots or none of that shit, but I know what I see. And I know it was on 2 feet and it had 2 arms and it was hairy. Yeah, I remember that reflection. I remember that. I think that with my own 2 eyes. So I don't know. I don't know what that was. And that was down south. So I'm like, this shit crazy. But anyway, y'all drop in the comments to let me know if y'all ever had some experiences like that, baby. I ain't tell nobody. To this day, y'all the first person to know this reflection. I was like, that's some of that shit you keep to yourself. That's some shit right there, because my mama told me, keep my black ass. Gemini told me, keep my ass out the woods. But you know Teresa. But anyway, let's go on and get into these 411 missing cases, okay?
Amy George, NDCNH, and I tried to record this earlier, and shocker, my phone went dead. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about national parks and state parks. And yes, they're protected because they're beautiful areas, but mainly they're protected because they're ley line areas. And most of the ley lines in this country and around the world, not all of them, most of them, or majority of them, are held by dark force energies. And because they're held by dark force energies, underground bases and things have been built under these parks, as well as entrances that have been there for centuries, I guess, to inner earth. So you can literally stumble into a world where you can't navigate and you may not be able to get out. Also, there's a lot of portals because of the ley lines and just the portal energies in these parks. So a lot of times when people are disappearing, they're not being taken by Dogman, they're not being taken by Sasquatch, they're not being taken by aliens. I mean, they might be, but literally they're walking into other worlds. They're walking into inner earth. They may have stumbled into a base because there's a lot of holographic coverings that people inadvertently, because people are dumb and people are nosy and people can't see the dimensions. And so they can't navigate some of these places, and so they get themselves in things that they can't get out of. Yes, some people are picked off the trail and brought for experimentation and lose time and all of that. Yes, some people are killed by crazies on things like the Appalachian Trail and stuff like that. Not saying there's not logical, quote, 3D explanations, but a lot of the David Pilates 411 stuff is BS. He knows what's going on. He's a paid informant. He's part of the whole thing. He's been proven to be a liar on many occasions. And so a lot of this, in my opinion, is they're walking through portals and they're not being able, to navigate their way back out, or maybe a one-way portal. Because the ley lines are walking into inner Earth again, they're not being able to get back out. They may be in a base. They might not want them to get back out. So a lot of these disappearances or deaths are a result of not necessarily super mystical stuff, but definitely things that most of you aren't familiar with that some of us are. So my warning and my caution is be very careful when you go. Stay in crowds, stay in the more public places. Don't go off exploring on your own. If you get like a spidey sense of something wrong, pay attention to that. I don't recommend camping in state parks or national parks, which is funny because I basically live practically in a state park, but my property also is a portal property on 4 acres of quartz. So that's going to automatically kind of make it really magical and mystical, which is great for me because of my knowledge and what I do, but it's not so great for other people. Not everybody would love it here. And there's probably places on my property that I shouldn't walk into and I might not get out of as well.
So what do y'all think about this reflection? What do you think about her saying that this is what caught me, the holographic imagery? Okay, this sounds kind of like some military stuff right there. Okay, so people are actually going through these woods, which are on ley lines, and they're walking into these other dimensions. They're walking into portals. They're walking into different things like that. Now, if you're a person that don't believe in portals, you're a person that don't believe in other dimensions, you get what I'm saying? Reflection, when you see the certain signs of shit, this might be a portal. This energy I'm feeling, keep in mind, places hold energy. Reflection. And that's why I always tell y'all, listen to your intuition. What do you think about this? Do you think that some of these people are walking into portals and that's the reason why they can't be found? Because keep in mind, with these 411 cases, these cases are people that are with no trace, like they're disappearing with no trace. Reflection. And a lot of people can't understand it, and a lot of people was like, well, maybe other people are abducting them. Okay, well, they kind of ruled that out because where they're disappearing at is kind of hard. You get what I'm saying? You gonna know if somebody is in there, you gonna know somebody ain't, because it's like a one way in, one way out type of thing. And the roads are so hard to navigate. Like, it's hard for somebody just to sneak up in there and you don't know they up in there. You get what I'm saying? Reflection. So I thought that was kind of I thought that was a little, you get what I'm saying? I thought that was a little strange. Okay, so anyway, let's keep it going.
1910, 23-year-old Orville Tuttle worked as a locomotive engineer in Whitehall, Montana. While he loved his job and loved cars, his real passion was hunting. His friends would describe him as being a fearless hunter, a crack shot, and very cool under pressure. In October of that year, Orville, along with his younger brother and his cousin, headed off to a river valley just outside of Yellowstone National Park to do some hunting. When they got there, they made their way into the forest, they found a decent clearing, they brushed off some snow, and they set up their campsite. They stayed up for a bit around the campfire that night, but everybody went to bed early. The following morning, Orville was the first one to wake up, and while he was outside of the campsite, he noticed some elk tracks that had passed by in the night. And so he woke up his brother and cousin and told them he was going to go and track this animal for no longer than about an hour. The two men said that was fine. They knew Orville was a very accomplished outdoorsman, and so they weren't worried about him. An hour later, the brother and the cousin were now awake, and they were sitting around the fire waiting for Orville to return, but he didn't. The men waited another hour, and another hour, and another hour, and still Orville never showed up. And this whole time, the men are considering, should we go out and go looking for him? And every time they'd stand up to go begin their search, they'd say, you know what, I'm sure he's fine, we're overreacting, and they'd sit back down again. But by nightfall, when they still had not seen Orville or heard from him, the pair was starting to get really nervous. And so they decided they would go to bed, and Orville was bound to turn up in the middle of the night. Early the next morning, the two men got up, hoping to see Orville, but he had not returned. And so the two men left the forest. They got two more family members to come back with them, and then the four of them began a search for Orville. And very quickly, they found Orville's tracks leading out of the camp, meandering their way through this very thick forest and through all the snow, all the way down to this very shallow river that at its deepest point was no higher than your ankle. Orville's tracks stopped at the edge of this river and continued for 3 miles, walking away from the campsite right alongside this river until they stopped in this little clearing in the snow where there was a very small campfire set up. But the logs and the kindling in the campfire had not been burned. And so the search party figured that Orville, when he got here, must have had wet matches or something because he couldn't get the fire going. And then from the campfire, they continued to follow Orville's tracks a little bit farther down the river until they turned and walked directly into this very shallow river. And then from there, the search party looked for miles and miles and miles downstream and upstream, and they never found any tracks leaving the river, even though alongside the entire river on both sides was plenty of snow. So anybody who walked into the river and then walked out again would leave tracks. But there were no more tracks. As it started to get dark and they still had not found any sign of Orville, one of the men left the forest and contacted authorities, who launched a formal search. The sheriff's department, along with hundreds of volunteers, descended into this area where Orville got lost, and they started by searching even farther downstream and upstream of this river to see if they could find where Orville stepped out of the river, but they too couldn't find any tracks. And so for a couple of days, they searched this river and the surrounding forests, but there was just no sign of Orville. Then on the third evening of this search, one of the searchers was up in the mountains in an area that was relatively close to the last area where Orville had tracks in the snow. And the searcher saw there was a little campfire that had been set up in the middle of nowhere. He walked up to it and he saw it had been recently extinguished. It was still warm, and next to this fire was a pair of boots. But there was no person anywhere in the vicinity. And then the searcher noticed there were tracks leaving this campfire, and these tracks were made with bare feet. And so the searcher just began following these tracks. And so the searcher went up a mountain, he went down the other side, down into this deep ravine, and then he stopped because he's looking straight ahead of him, and it's another mountain going straight up, and that's where the tracks continue to go. And it's very thickly forested, and it's starting to get dark. And so he's thinking to himself, is it a good idea to just continue walking on my own, or should I go back and get some help? And so as he's weighing out what he should do next, he catches movement out of his peripheral vision, and he kind of glances up into the mountain right ahead of him, and he sees this dark figure kind of slowly moving up the mountain quite a ways away from him. But from his perspective, even though he doesn't have a good view, it looks like a man. And so if it's a man walking up this hill, it's probably the same guy that left that campfire and therefore is leaving these barefoot tracks up this mountain. And so the searcher thinks that's gotta be Orville. Something's wrong with him. Who knows what's going on with him, but I gotta get his attention. And so the searcher yells out to this guy to try to get him to stop, but even though he was clearly in earshot, this guy just did not stop moving. He just methodically continued moving up the mountain. And so the searcher's confused at why this person wouldn't stop. And so he pulls out his pistol and fires 3 shots into the air, which is like the universal stop what you're doing and turn around. But again, this figure, this person, this guy didn't stop. They didn't react, no flinching. They just kept moving up and over the top of the mountain and out of sight. And so now the searcher's thinking to himself, what did I just see? Who is that? What were they doing out here? And he's thinking, you know what? It's too dark. I can't just continue up this mountain towards whoever this is. I got to go back. And so the searcher marked where he was, turned around, and he ran back to the search party, and he told them what he had seen. And they said,
That's crazy. So what y'all think about their reflection? Now, this is the part that got me. Okay, he said it seemed like it looked like a man, but keep in mind, it's cold as hell out there, and the snow is thick. So he said that it looked like they had bare feet. They had bare feet. Reflection, do you think anybody, could you walk through all that snow up a mountain, baby, with your bare feet? Okay, so that made me think, what really was this? But when you think, okay, maybe it was an animal or something, keep in mind, he said it looked like a man because it was on his 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 arm, all this right here reflection. But it had a campfire, which means it needed something to keep itself warm, obviously. That's what I'm thinking. Unless somebody else was right there, but they didn't find nobody else footprints, they had on shoes or things like that. So all this shit is very strange. And not on these are true stories. And not only that reflection, you will notice too with these 411 missing cases, it's always strange weather. It's always strange weather going on either after these people get missing or why you know what I'm saying? Why they're missing. That shit was a little
The
piece of strange. But
disappearance of
let's keep
Sandra
going.
Hughes is one of those stories that makes you wonder what is really going on. And if you've heard of the missing 411 phenomenon, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, here's a quick summary. Now, the missing 411 phenomenon was developed by this guy here, David Paulides. And essentially, it focuses on the amount of high disappearances across the United States, even Canada, in remote areas and national forests. It also dives deep into the coincidence between the amount of people disappearing in all of these regions, along with the natural cave system in these areas as well. But not only that, it also correlates with the amount of Bigfoot sightings reported across North America, which has led many people to wonder what is going on out there, and whether or not many of these people that have disappeared in national forests have actually just gotten lost, or whether they succumbed to foul play, or if there's something much more mysterious happening. Which then brings us to the story of Sandra Hughes. Now, Sandra was 54 at the time of her disappearance and living in Maui, and that was when the entire pandemic hit and everyone went into lockdown. And life in lockdown was just not doing it for Sandra, so she decided to take a trip to the Sierra National Forest. She just really wanted to spend a lot more time reconnecting with nature, and she also happened to have quite a lot of experience with the outdoors. She packs up all of her belongings in Maui and moves to California in Madera County. And on June 26, 2020, Sandra hopped into her car and drove towards the forest, specifically to an area known as Johnston Meadows, which is a remote area of the Sierra National Forest. But then a week later, on July 2nd, 2020, hikers in the area saw something very unusual. They came across a campsite that looked to be very disturbed and unorganized. There was cans of food everywhere and personal belongings were thrown all around the campsite. And to them, it looked as if either someone had gotten robbed or someone left in a hurry. Park rangers were then alerted and went to investigate the campsite. And as they were searching, they came across a piece of ID that belonged to Sandra Hughes. They then proceeded to contact her family and ask if this was normal behavior for Sandra, to which they said that was completely out of character for her. She was a very experienced outdoors woman, she was very organized, and she did not litter. And so with that, a huge search began for Sandra, and the biggest clue on their radar was that she had recently dyed her hair blue, and searchers believed that this would make it much easier to spot her. And about 2 days later came the first clue. 2 hikers that were in the area were making their way down a path, and that's when they came across a woman with blue hair, a black t-shirt, and jeans, and she was also barefoot. And to them, it looked like she had had a very quote-unquote rough time. But because this woman minded her own business, she didn't look at them, they figured that she knew what she was doing, and so they didn't bother to ask her if she needed any help. It wasn't until these 2 hikers returned back to town that they noticed all of the posters for Sandra, and that's when it clicked that it was the woman that they had seen on the trail. Searchers then went back to where they had spotted her, but they had no luck finding Sandra. Then another hiker came forward and said that they had spotted an abandoned car. It was located approximately 5 miles away from where Sandra's campsite was, and similar to her campsite, the car looked like it had been ransacked. And then approximately a week after that, a sleeping bag that belonged to Sandra was found near a lake. The search for Sandra would then go on to continue for 2 more weeks, but there were never any other clues that emerged, which eventually led to the search being called off. But then a year later, there was a break in the case. A family were in the area with their 3 young children. As they were enjoying their day, the 3 children then proceeded to complain that they were hungry. And so their parents decided to take a break, find a spot to unpack, and have some lunch. And that's when the youngest child of the group was seen talking to someone by the trees. His father then turns around to see who his son is talking to, but he doesn't see anybody. Although his father was convinced that his son was talking to someone just by how engaged he was in the conversation. So his father asks him one more time who he's talking to, and the boy then turns and points to the woman and says her, but there was absolutely no one there. And needless to say, that was enough to make the family pack up and get out of there as fast as they could. And when they went on to ask the boy what this woman looked like, he gave them a very shocking description. He said that it was a woman with blue hair, a black t-shirt, and jeans. But not only that, he also said that the woman was asking him for help. So his parents take him to the nearest police station where they show him a few photos of women with blue hair. And of course, the young boy picked out all the photos of Sandra Hughes. Immediately, a search team was dispatched to go to the area where the family was. But there was absolutely no sign of Sandra anywhere. And to this day, she hasn't been found, so if you know anything about Sandra Hughes, contact this number here.
Now that's strange reflection, but keep in mind, see how strange these cases are, these 411 cases. She had been seen by some hikers at first, but they said they didn't feel like she looked like she had been through some things, but they felt like she knew what she was doing because she didn't ask for help. Why wouldn't she ask for help? But when she seen this little boy, she asked him for help. Don't you think that's kind of strange? Like, why you wouldn't come out and just like, what was really going on? Reflection that make you think, was she trying to lure the little boy, or or did she really need help? But my thing is, if you really need help, why are you talking to the little boy? Why wouldn't you talk to his parents, or why wouldn't you talk? It was just all these 411 cases. They strange. Reflection, they a little bit strange. Now I'm trying to tell you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop in the comments, let me know what y'all think going on with these 411 cases. And do you think it's strange that they're not, you get what I'm saying, they don't have a database of these people that are going missing?
I want to talk about the missing 411 for a minute. Everybody always talks about the cases of Garrett Bardsley and Tom Messick. Man, while those are all very interesting cases, I want to talk about some of the lesser known ones today. Terrence Woods was a 27-year-old man from Maryland. He went missing on October 5th, 2018 in Idaho County, Idaho, in or near the Nez Perce National Forest. He worked on a film crew. They were filming some abandoned mines, gold mines in the Idaho area. And he'd worked in the film industry for several years. He had a few friends on the crew with him. I believe there was 12 or 13 people total on the crew. I don't have my notes with me, so I don't have the exact numbers on some of this stuff. But everything seemed to be going good. He texted his parents and said, I'm going to be home earlier than I thought I would. I'll be home by October 10th. Well, that never happened, unfortunately. On October 5th, 2018, about 5:30 p.m., he told some of the guys around the fire he needed to go use the bathroom. He got up, he walked away. In the middle of the camp, he threw his radio on the ground, and he took off running. Took off running down a hillside that was pretty steep from what the others reported. A few of the guys chased after him. They couldn't catch up to him. They said they were running faster than they thought a human could run. They chased him down the hill. There was a road with a sheer drop-off on the other side. They got to the bottom of the road. They couldn't find him. They searched up and down both sides of the road. They looked down the drop-off. They contacted the sheriff. Search was launched. And they searched for him for about 6 days. And they never found a trace of him. It's been almost 4 years. And nothing's ever been found. No remains have been found. No clothing's been found. His family has no closure. Now, what I find really odd about this case is it ties into a few other cases. On the same day that he went missing, in the same general area where he was at, a 67-year-old lady went missing as well. And she's never been found either. I'm going to do a video about her next. And it also ties into a previous case. And there's just some really odd circumstances surrounding the whole thing. Like I said, I find this one very interesting because I live within 200 miles of where it happened. I do plan this summer to make a trip down there to the...
Okay, so what do y'all think about this? A couple people went missing. Now, keep in mind, these are all at national parks, Reflection, and we talked about that these national parks are on ley lines, which holds a certain type of energy. Some people say it's dark energy. Other people just say it's a strong energy force there. Okay, so what do you think about this? What do you think about, they said that this guy just all of a sudden dropped his headset or whatever it was, flashlight, whatever, Reflection, and took off running faster than any human they had ever seen took off running. What do you think? Keep in mind, energy can take a hold of you, Reflection. I will tell y'all this story about when I was a little girl, but I already told y'all some. They say it's free, don't start. I'm telling you, Reflection, this is how I know that places hold energy. When I was a little girl, keep in mind, my mama told me, stay from the motherfucking woods. Because when she was a little girl, she used to play in the woods and shit. Or she used to, like, I guess where it's woods now, it wasn't woods back then. So I don't know if she came in contact with energetic forces and she ever told me, but she always made it very clear to stay from the woods. Okay, so anyway, but you know me, I'm hard here. I'm Scorpio. I was by the woods. One day, reflection, it was getting dark. It's always shit happening when it's gonna get dark. One day I was at the edge of these woods, right? And I'm not lying, reflection. It felt like something was trying to pull me to the woods. Energetically, though. Energetically, reflection. It felt like some was trying to pull me, like, come to the woods type shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Reflection, I ain't never been so scared. And I didn't see nothing. But it scared the fuck out of me. Like, I remember I went in the house and I had put on some headphones because I always been, kind of advanced. So I know that, like, music hold energy. So it felt like even when I was running up the back steps to get into the fucking house, reflection, because it still felt like the energy was trying to pull me to the damn woods. I went and I put on my headphones and put, so I could listen to music, something that could distract that energy from me. You get what I'm saying? But I thought that was very, very strange. And as I got older and I'm starting to learn about, you get what I'm saying, energy, and I'm learning about portals, and I'm learning about these forces, and I'm learning about all these different things. I was like, this shit all add up now. I see why she told me keep my black ass from them woods. But reflection. So that's what made me think, you get what I'm saying? A lot of people, they can be around you, but certain energies, reflection, will make you behave strangely. Allegedly, certain energies can pull you to certain places, and you like, why the fuck ain't nothing over there for me? I shouldn't go over there. I shouldn't be over there. But it's the energy, it's the energetic force. Okay, so hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. They said, Teresa, we told your ass by being in the woods, Listen, I was just trying to make mud cakes and shit. But anyway, let's keep it going.
Disappearances and Yosemite National Park, I tell you, they are one and the same. They go together. Now, Jean and her boyfriend, Mike, were dating for 10 years. Things were going so swell, they were engaged. And in June of 1995, they set off to Yosemite. The couple had decided to take separate routes, short separate routes, and they were going to meet back up in 15 minutes. Now, this is where it gets very dicey, and I suggest you don't never do this. So Jean had taken off, and she was by herself. Mike had showed up at the location where they had agreed to meet at, but Jean was nowhere to be found, no trace of her. He did look around for a short time, maybe 10 minutes, but very quickly knew that things were really bad. Search and rescue got involved very quickly on. They were also looking to Mike as a potential suspect in the case. They gave him a polygraph. He passed indefinitely, and they were not looking at him any further. The problem is the dogs couldn't pick up scents. The rescuers could not find her. They had scoured across that mountain, and no trace of her clothing or anything had turned up. Didn't look to be a struggle. Something's off. Now, on September 3rd, 1995, a couple of fishermen would come across a body in a small pool of water. This body was completely nude except for socks and one boot. The area in which her body was found is an area that is pretty inaccessible to really anybody but like mountain climbers. And these fishermen, when they came across, because they were kind of wading up this river, were like, yeah, mountain climbers is what we would expect. Like, those people can get up here, but this body didn't have no clothing. Had a couple socks and one boot. While these national parks are very beautiful, and clearly Yosemite being one of them, because many a people go, but it is nothing to trifle with. Don't you be going and wandering all up in the wilderness by your lonesome. If you haven't learned anything from my content, you watch it again then.
Okay, so what do you think about that reflection? I can definitely agree. Even though some of the most beautiful places are some of the most dangerous places, and you should never go wandering off by yourself. Even though you are at what they call national parks and different things like that, a lot of stuff. Keep in mind they don't have a database of the people that go missing. So you just do your research and just be aware that these national parks are allegedly on ley lines that hold a certain type of energetic force, and a lot of people have went missing and never to be found. Okay, let's keep it going.
Every year, hundreds of people are reported missing in national parks and forests, many of them children. And most are eventually found, whether dead or alive. But a small percentage of the cases, some right here in Oregon, are never solved. The mystery those cases present has one man wondering if there's a common denominator behind the disappearances that have search and rescue crews continuing to scratch their heads.
We turned around and here was this little toddler walking out of the fog with absolutely no clothes on at all.
Well, it's troubling. Every month in almost every state, people go into the wilderness and don't come out.
Stories like that are what fueled David Paulides. Forever rifling newspaper archives and badgering federal agencies for public records, he's discovered more than 400 cases of people who wandered into the wilderness but never came back.
There are so many missing kids in Oregon, it's ridiculous.
Accounts of children, people, vanishing, seemingly swallowed up by the many endless forests across America, or even later found in ways that defy logic.
These were unusual things that don't make sense, that happen to cluster together in 3 to 4, sometimes as many as 20, 30 people missing at one location.
He's mapped out what appear to be more than 30 clusters of vanishings in forests and national parks coast to coast. Some of those clusters and cases right here in Oregon. All of them documented and described in his 2 books.
According to Oregon State Police, there are 41 missing children in Oregon.
And now also in the movie Missing 411, releasing in a couple of months.
In a lot of these cases, search and rescue, or the volunteer searching people, have already gone over certain areas, not once, not twice, but even dozens of times. And then the child is found there, maybe a year, maybe a few years later.
The search coordinators themselves are baffled by it too. The ones they don't think is criminal in nature.
Once a cop, Paulides got hooked on the inexplicable, intriguing, and mysterious missing persons cases only after a government employee knocked on the door of his hotel near Park Service land and confided in him, sharing stories about people disappearing at national parks like Crater Lake and Yosemite.
The ranger described to me, if you were standing straight up and you just had your shirt or just had your pants on and you melted directly into your pants, that's what it looked like to him. The pants were laying on the ground in a very neat pile.
Just one of many accounts in his books that leave search crews wondering.
So what do you think about that reflection? What do you think about all these people now? I don't know if you heard of Crater Lake. Definitely go do your research. It actually used to be a volcano. It used to be a volcano, and I forgot it was like a volcano that like collided or something. Not collided, but like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Because even in the center of it, you can still see kind of where the volcano was formed or whatever like that, and it like filled up with a lake. It filled up with a lake. That's why they call it Crater Lake. You get what I'm saying? Reflection. And it's a lot of strange things, a lot of strange disappearances that have been associated with Crater Lake in Oregon. So I thought that was definitely gonna do you some research into that. But I don't know if y'all are into mythology or not, but volcanoes have a very even the natives in certain places, reflection, they have a lot of tales about volcanoes and different spirits from volcanoes and different things like that. And I don't know if y'all know, but when volcanoes actually dry out, they make like little tunnels and different shit like that. So you never know what's really going on, reflection. And keep in mind, water is energy. Water is energy, what a lot of people don't know. And a lot of the sea haven't been explored. So you have no idea what is really down in these lakes, in these different places like that reflection. You don't know. Okay, you worried about an alligator and shit like that. Maybe a little, you get what I'm saying? Maybe well, what else be up in them lakes reflection? Just shit in like normal shit in lakes that we probably are afraid of, but the whole time reflection, there's some shit out there you ain't never even seen, baby. It's stuff out there you ain't never even seen. So with that being said, you just have to be cautious, because even though these places are very beautiful to go to, this ain't it ain't nothing to play around with. Okay, let's keep it going. And drop in the comments and let me know, do you think that they should make a database to where all these people are missing at national parks and things like that reflection? Why? And if you don't think that, then tell me why you don't think that they should, or why you think that they have.
There was a YouTuber who went missing after he went into one of these caves. So the guy's name was Kenny Veach. He was hiking around Nevada and he found a cave, and he said the cave was very weirdly shaped. Like he said it was shaped like a perfect M.
Yeah.
And he said when he went into the cave, he felt like vibrations throughout his body.
And he still explored it.
The more he stepped in, the worse it got. So he got out of there. He was telling his like followers like, yeah, what of an experience or whatever. So his followers was like, yo, go back. Like we want to see more. We want to see more what a cave looks like. All the comments were saying that except one comment. One comment was like, yo, do not go back because you will never come back. He went out. It was November 10th, 2014.
By himself?
By himself. And he never came back. You know where the cave was, bro? It was right next to Area 51, bro.
Oh, that
the
is
base.
in Nevada, bro.
A lot of people think that he might have stumbled across like, you know, like a Area 51 bunker and he seen like some secrets.
He's seen something he wasn't supposed to see.
Imagine, bro. What creeps me out is there was one comment that predicted, that warned him. Like imagine that was the CIA saying like, don't go back.
Like chill, bro. Like we trying to spare your life, bro. Chill out.
He didn't listen, bro.
All right, so what do you think about that reflection? Remember, we talked about a lot of these places, they're on ley lines, which actually hold energetic forces, okay? And a lot of strange things happen where these ley lines are. A lot of people go missing. A lot of freak accidents happen. A lot of UFO extraterrestrial activity happen. Reflection, okay? So what do you think about this YouTuber that went in this particular cave? Do you think some got his ass reflection? But my thing is this: he said he felt like it was he said it before he even went in. I was in my head, I'm like, why the fuck you take your ass in there then? I don't need number one sign reflection, and gone. Fuck them followers. I'm up out of there, baby. I'm getting up out that cave. Shit, I pray we'll throw a rock in them motherfuckers or something for y'all. Please. Taretha is not going to end up my energy. And the energy from the cave is telling me something about this shit ain't right. Something about this shit ain't right. So you get what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta listen at your intuition with reflection. We over here talking about these 411 missing cases. These people now, some people do be found, but it's very rare. It's very rare. And keep in mind, when they are found, they said it seemed like they just pop up out of nowhere. Reflection just pop up out of thin fucking air. They be like, did you not know we was looking for your baby? Did you not know, Craig? Okay, reflection. A lot of strange they see.
Don't say it again. What the fuck is in them woods? Y'all look at this map. Holy shit. Top is missing people, bottom is the underground cave system. What the actual fuck? You are connected. I don't give a fuck. Don't care what you say. I need y'all to really, really look at this area, okay? Too close. That's entirely too close. The gag for me, though, is that even though California doesn't have that many underground cave systems mapped, at least, look at all the missing people that still match up. We don't know the official number, but as of right now, David Paulides is up to like 1,600 people missing in national parks. And I really think this has something to do with it now. Look at this matchup right here, though, and holy shit, look at that. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that this is not connected to the missing 1,600 people. Back at it with what the fuck is in them woods.
You can say that again, Karen. What's going on? Now, keep in mind, 1,600 people, that's a lot of people just be going missing in national parks. That's more than just walking off of motherfucking trail reflection. That's more than, you get what I'm saying, stepping in a shallow lake and you know it was lake reflection. Least. And look at the map. And then look at the missing people map. That shit look a little piece of connected, just a little piece. I don't know though. I'm not saying nothing, but you get what I'm saying. My tingling sisters is going off. I don't know. Drop in the comments, tell me what y'all think.
Every year, dozens of people go missing in the national parks. Most of them are found, but some of them are not, and they go missing under baffling circumstances.
You know, I've come to like Aidan Mattis. He's a smart young man, and if you don't follow him already, you should, because if you like my content, you're probably going to like his. That said, we don't always agree on everything, which is absolutely fine. And the missing 411 conspiracy is one of those things where our opinion differs. And that's because, from my point of view, I've not seen any of these cases that can't be explained by something that is purely mundane. Now, I'm going to watch Aidan and the Lore Lodge's video about the missing 411 because there's some things I have questions about, and you should check it out as well. But in this video, Aidan points out some commonalities between these cases that make the disappearances seem somewhat unusual. So let's hear what Aidan has to say, and then I'll offer my thoughts as a friendly skeptic.
There are several key points to this. One is that people go missing near water. They also go missing near boulder fields.
The presence of water doesn't seem unusual to me. Water draws many people to nature and national parks. Maybe they want to fish, maybe they just want a nice view. So yeah, there probably is going to be water in the area. Additionally, if you are lost in the woods for a long period of time, what's one of the first things you need to survive? Water. Boulder fields are like a gauntlet of danger. Not only could you lose your footing very easily, but you can break bones, hit your head, leaving you confused or immobile and vulnerable to predation and the elements. And of course, there's a plethora of venomous creepy crawlies that make their homes under rocks.
Sudden weather changes are common, as are the inability of dogs to actually discover a scent of the missing person.
Now, search and rescue dogs are just simply not effective 100% of the time. In 2015, there was a study conducted by the Wilderness and Environmental Medicine Journal, and the dogs in their study were successful about 76% of the time. If that is accurate, and we assume that they use dogs to try to find every single one of those thousands of missing people, which I don't know if they do, they probably don't, you're looking at 20-25% of those people who are not going to be found by dogs. That's a pretty large number of people.
Well, when remains are found, they are often missing clothes, or clothes are found where no remains are found.
Now, he does talk about a few other things, but I want to focus on this one because this is a sign of hypothermia. It's called paradoxical undressing, and people that have died from hypothermia are often found with their clothes off or in the process of being taken off. And it's believed to be caused by a sudden feeling of heat due to an aneurysm or some type of internal hemorrhage. Additionally, going back to a body of water, if you get wet and you're not able to get warm, even if the temperature's in the 40s or low 50s, you can get hypothermia, especially if you're a child and you don't know how to take care of yourself.
All right, reflection. So he said that he got a reason for the season. He said he don't believe in that 411 missing shit. He feel like it's something else, but I don't know. 1,600 people. That showed a lot to be going. You get what I'm saying? Being a victim of hypothermia, and you get what I'm saying? Reflection. Another thing is, it's just a strange situation. What about these foot tracks that all of a sudden disappear? What about the strange weather that occurs afterwards? What about, you get what I'm saying? Why don't they have a database of this? Why? It's a lot of whys. I know you got a lot of answers, but it's also a lot of stuff that is just very strange and very unexplained. Now, I'm not saying some of those cases, you get what I'm saying? He has some very good points, but at the same time, reflection, I don't know. I believe it's a little bit more to that, because a lot of these people that did go missing, they were expert hikers. You get what I'm saying? These were survivalists. These were people that were trained, you get what I'm saying, to survive out there in the wilderness, and they ass still came up missing. So what do you think about that? I'm just asking for a friend now. I'm just asking. Let's keep it going.
Have you guys ever noticed how eerily similar the missing 411 cases sound to ancient practices of sacrificing your children? I've been doing a lot of research into the missing 411 cases, and I've noticed a commonality between those that go missing. And what is pretty common is it's either children that go missing or disabled people going missing. Oftentimes, these people are found high up on a point in a place where there was no way they could have climbed there on their own. A disabled elderly person or a young child without any shoes, found high up in a place that was very hard for even very fit, experienced people to climb to, and yet they are found in these places far away from where they were last seen. Oftentimes they are found where people have already searched over and over again, and it seems like there is something supernatural going on, as it appears that this person was literally lifted up from where they were and dropped off at another point, and there is no footprints or any tracks in between the 2 points. Now, across many cultures across the whole world, cultures that aren't connected with each other, they have had this practice of taking your child up to a high point and sacrificing them. Oftentimes, if you had a disabled child, you would go out and sacrifice that child to the gods. In ancient times, the upper atmosphere was considered the spiritual plane. And so, in order to commune with your god, you would go up to a high point like a ziggurat, a pyramid, or a mountain. And even Israel had Mount Sinai, where they went up to meet with Adonai. Now, Adonai asked Abraham to carry his son Isaac up this mountain and sacrifice him in the same way that all of the peoples around them were sacrificing their children to Moloch. But there he stopped Abraham and provided a substitute, therefore ending all child sacrifice through Adonai's faith. But in nearly every other culture, people were taking their children up to high mountains and sacrificing their children and their disabled. Those practices had to come from somewhere. They believed that this is what the gods desired from them. So, could the disappearances of children and disabled people up in the mountaintops in the wilderness and in through the caves have something to do with this ancient practice? Many of these cases appear to be supernatural in nature, and even the children that are found describe being in a completely separate place that's always shining and different looking than where they were when they disappeared. Tell me what you think of that connection.
That goes back to those four. Listen, I'm up for every theory. Everybody got something different that they think is going on with these 411 cases. But keep in mind, didn't I tell you some of these people, they have been searched at a place, and then years later, months later, days later, the children or that person will appear back in a place, and they like, damn, we searched that place up and down. It's what are you doing right here? We already searched this place. And it seemed like they pop up out of nowhere. Reflection, okay? And go back to when she said children with disability and people with disabilities. A lot of those cases with the 411 missing cases, they do have like certain little disabilities and different things like that. So, you know, but all of them don't. Reflection. So what do y'all think? Man, we over here talking about these 411 cases. Before you go to these national parks, listen, we just trying to let you know, shit, man. There's some things going on before you even, not even just national parks, before you go to certain places, you need to pull up that map of the ley lines, because a lot of strange things happen over ley lines. A lot of strange things happen in the mountains. A lot of strange things happen by water. Reflection, because they hold a certain type of energy. This goes back to the ancient people. I'm telling y'all, if y'all read a lot of mythology, then you will know they had all type of spirits that were connected to certain places. And you get what I'm saying? Just because you build over something doesn't mean that the energy isn't still there. So with that being said, we just over here talking about these national parks and a lot of these people that went missing. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, Ashe.